Sarvendra Shrivatava now joins us, an independent market analyst. Sarvendra, how would you look at the levels right now, the deal that has come in? Generally, when such global news comes in, does market tend to make a bottom or a top, however the reaction would be?
Good morning, Prashant. No, and Pankaj. So I think what's happening here is that it's event-driven kind of a uptick that we have seen, but by and large, I think 8350, 8500 is what the range that we discussed when we were last on air, and that range, the trading range, more or less kind of remains. So that is the immediate range we are talking about, 8350 to 8500. And then when we go to a slightly broader range, 8000, 8100 on the downside, and 8550 on the upside. That's what I think the Nifty should trade over the next month or so. So not seeing any big bang breakout from the 8550 mark. I think more or less whatever best had to happen within this move, we are probably closing into that range. So now you should see some supply also coming in around that 85 mark.
Right, but what is the level or that range that you were talking about, 8550? That was the range that you had told us earlier. That continues to be an important resistance level?
Absolutely, I think that's a psychological round number as well, and we will keep 50 points. We can keep 50 points as and keep that range as 85 to 8550, because the markets over the last few months, few weeks have been more volatile than in terms of spikes, not in terms of pure volatility, but with the kind of spikes that we have intraday. I think I'll give it 50 more points, but by and large, I think right now, if you can say that the immediate range remains between 8350 to 8550, and a slightly broader range remains between, say, 8000, 8100 on the downside and 8550 on the upside.
Right. How would you look at IndusInd Bank? I know you cannot comment on stock-specific names, but after IndusInd Bank, the move that we've seen over there, you think private sector banking names are looking in strong every time ahead of results? They tend to do well. Do you think this time around also expectation would be met? What are charts telling you?
No, I think I was just checking those numbers. So I think we are at round numbers on quite a few places, and round numbers, psychological marks, typically are good actionable points. So right now, Bank Nifty also is around that round number 19,000, and it's almost pulled back 50, close to 50% of that entire fall from 2100 odd to around 17 odd thousand that we went. So that's at a round number. Nifty is at 8500 round number, and we are seeing CNX IT also at a round number 11,000 odd. So quite a few frontline indices at their previous round numbers, and wanting to attempt those numbers from below. So those numbers will, for the time being, act as hurdles, because we are coming and attempting those numbers from the downside. So we are pulling back to those numbers. So 11,000 for CNX IT, 19,000 for Bank Nifty, and 8500 odd for the Nifty. I think these three round numbers for the next couple of sessions, how we behave around these numbers, should give you more cues as to where this market is headed. But I think that the best within this move could be over.
Right. Can you just talk about names like Bharat Forge, Motherson Sumi, Cox and Kings? All of these names were down because of what is happening in Europe. Tech Mahindra, the exposure that they have to Europe. You think all of these names can reverse back? There was some sort of panic, some sort of jitteriness with these names that had that global play, maybe a Tata Motors which had a global play with China. You think all of these names would start to stabilize as now global news starts to become positive?
No, again, I'll avoid stocks as of now, because I can't do that right now. Still probably in the process of looking in for a registration. But I will look at the index. So I'll say that the NSE mid cap, again, that number 13,500 for that index, 13,400 to 500 typically has been all the tops around the last 4-5 months that we have had on the NSE mid cap is around that 13,400, 13,500 mark. So majority of them are around those numbers. So I think that, and we are again back at that number. So that index probably has not even corrected a wee bit. So it could undergo some more correction. So that side of the story is also open, because mid caps have not fallen. Probably the index has not fallen in line with the large caps or the frontline peers. So it could do a catch up. I think the catch up is definitely pending there as well.
So after TCS, Sarvendra, IT names, some of them, say HCL Tech or Wipro, has done decently well. Do you think technology is looking in good? Only TCS has declared numbers. Some of the next, in the next 15 days or so, we should have more numbers coming in. Do you think IT is looking decent at these levels, at least the large cap ones?
See, I'll again say that the index is right now at a very strong resistance area. So 11,000, 11,100 for the CNX IT will be a tough nut to crack. In my sense is that overall the patterns on that particular index are more of a distribution. So till proven otherwise, I think I would stay away from the IT pack. I would stay away from the IT index. If at all I have to do something, I will be probably on the selling side on the CNX IT index because in the medium to long term it's topping out. The only gray area will remain how the USD INR cross behaves. So if we were to break out on that particular cross beyond that 64, 64.30 hurdle, then probably you could have a period of mild outperformance. But beyond that, I don't see much within the IT space.
Okay. What about pharma? Now, pharma as a pack was not doing that well, or there was some sort of a resilience move coming in every time they went up. You saw some selling pressure coming in. Right now, what is the sense you're getting in on the pharma pack? Have we seen fresh round of buying, fresh round of liquidity attracting the pharma space?
See, on the pharma names, I think what we have done after quite a decent run, after quite a decent almost 7, 8 quarters of run on that index, we had a meaningful quarterly negative close. I say meaningful in terms of percentage because we had one negative bar in March, but that was more kind of a flat. So right from the March of 013 until now, so it's almost 2 years that after 2 years that we have had a meaningful quarterly negative close. So one thing is definitely sure that there's some kind of a punctuation mark that has happened. Is it a comma? Is it a full stop? I think we will need more time for that. But definitely one punctuation mark as far as the next comma is concerned, which means if at all it is not a full stop and it's a comma, then we will definitely go and do some lower corrections, lower retracements. And in that sense, I think the pharma index can probably go down and test that 11,000, 11,500 price area once again. So that move to me seems pending, which will probably give you around 8 to 10% downside on that index. So if that's the case, I think the stocks could do more on the downside.
So, even it would extend to the mid-cap names as well, in terms of any fall or any outperformance that comes in. So, because a lot of mid-cap names, names like Markson, Suvain, a lot of other names which, generally you would not tend to see a lot of movement coming in have started to see. So, the entire pharma pack is what you were talking about, or it can even, lead to the mid-cap, small-cap names?
No, that would be a difficult one. But as I said, the BSE Healthcare or the NSE or the CNX Pharma, whatever you look at, I think 8%, 10% downside on the index is possible. So stocks tend to have higher beta. So individual stocks can do their own bit. And in fact, in this falling pharma environment, there could definitely be some stocks which can be going up as well. So that would be a difficult take. But for the index as a whole and large caps, definitely the index itself could go down 8 to 10%.
And in the hospital space, a name like Fortis, name like Apollo, how are they looking in? Are they looking in decent for the recent run-up that they've had?
Pankaj, I would be really not in a position to comment on stocks. You know my dilemma. I have to get through my registration, which I have not done. So let's stick to indices and not many stocks because I would want to let my process be very, very smooth once I go there.
Right.
With Sabi.
Right. Okay. So metals as a pack is something that you were always bullish about, or you always had a contra call in the last few months or so. Names like Tata Steel, JSW, all of them have made new lows. You think that still one can buy, or one should just avoid these names?
See, the metal index itself definitely has been a underperformer, and the underperformance has been slightly more than what was initially anticipated. But gradually, I think this is one index probably which has to participate. If it's a roaring bull market, there is no way that metals will not participate. So gradually they should. And purely looking at long-term risk rewards, I think you are getting quite a few. The index itself, I think, is more or less at 3-4 year lows. In fact, more than that. So I think purely as a risk reward and for long-term guys, I think the BSE metal index should definitely make a lot of sense. People can take their individual bets, but I think the BSE metal space from here on risk reward definitely medium to long term, it's got good risk rewards on the buy side.
Right. So, you said about medium to long term, but even in the immediate short term, don't you think valuations have gone, very, very to the low extent? I mean, names like Hindalco, names like Tata Steel, again, not going stock specific, they have some legacy, attached to them, and, people know these companies, people have trust in these companies. Don't you think that these valuations or these movements that have come in are unjustified, or in your charts term, they are way, way oversold than what they should be?
Yeah, markets have their own bit, so they can be unjustified downside and upside as well. So euphorias last more than expected, and so do bear markets or downside. So in that sense, it's always difficult. It's always element of probabilities that someone like me will play with. So valuations is not my cup of tea. But yeah, on probability basis, as I said, now with looking at what the readings on various indicators are and the kind of oversold readings that we are carrying. The BSE index for a medium to long term, definitely the metal index looks to be a good buy side risk reward. I would not probably venture and go and short sell any of those names and the index itself. So for me, I think whatever I will want to do with that index is that try and put some long trades with individual stop losses and see as to what happens from there.
Sarvendra, let's talk about oil and upstream names. Names like Reliance have done well, ONGC has not done well, but both of them have heavy weightage on the index. So how is the oil index poised according to you? You think that oil index, large cap oil names would tend to attract funds? Because they have performed mixed when you look at the entire constituents of the oil index.
No, yes, absolutely, Pankaj. Similar to what probably a case in point for the metal space itself. I think this is one space probably has been struggling. The index, my sense is that it's based out nicely around between that 9,000 to 9,200, 300 range. I think that band was a very nice band, and the index probably got accumulated there. And now that started to stay above those numbers. I think as long as now we are not slipping below 93, 94, and I'm talking about the BSE oil and gas index, as long as we are not slipping below 9,300 and 9,400 as a support area, my sense is that yes, on the index probably we could head for higher levels, and the next numbers that come to me on my chart probably could be numbers in the region of close to 10,500 odd, because that was one resistance area from where we fell. We fell in the first half of this year. So I think 10,500 is what is the next hurdle or a resistance as far as the oil and gas space is concerned, and that is what probably could also be a target for the BSE oil and gas space, if at all in the next leg when it goes up. That could be the number it could achieve.
Overall, oil marketing companies, BPCL, HPCL, IOC, all continue to look strong.
I think the individual weightages and on the index, probably the index performs say around 8-10% is again doable here. Individual stocks could do their bit. I would not again want to delve there, but individual stocks could do their bit, and the index itself could do at 8 to 10% on the upside.
Right. Names like HUL, ITC have seen some sort of buying, so consumer is seeing some buying, one can say. As far as FMCG index, consumer index is concerned, you see any value over there?
I think just like pharma, probably it's done its bit and now cooling off. Now, how long that cooling off period probably because again, if we go back to a quarterly chart, we never had a decent kind of a negative quarterly close as far as that index is concerned for quite some time. So around almost again almost an 8 to 10 quarter run without any meaningful correction. So now that they have done this entire range, we have, what I can see is over the last four odd quarters, 7,800 to 7,850 on the BSE FMCG. That's been a decent hurdle, and we have not had any quarterly close above that 7,850 mark, around those numbers. So as long as we stay below 7,850 on a closing basis, my sense is that this particular sector could undergo a small correction, and that correction could be anywhere between 6 to 8%.
Will that correction be an opportunity to go long in the FMCG pack?
Case to case basis, we'll have to see then. But probably, as I said, on the index, you would want a decent kind of a correction. 6% after a 6 to 8% after almost a 10-12 quarter run would not qualify as a good correction. But yes, right now I can see those numbers only 6 to 8% on the downside. Beyond that, if something opens up, we will be able to comment on that at that particular time.
You know, generally FMCG, pharma, these names don't tend to see any correction. Any decent correction is a buying opportunity. Would that trend continue till the time you see a big reversal coming in?
See, everything that goes up someday has to come down as well. So the magnitude and the percentages can be different, but you can't have a one-way street as far as this market is concerned, because it's purely a demand-supply game, and supply would definitely come when prices become unattractive. You will see supplies coming in, and vice versa. So that game probably, the basics of the game remain the same. So it's only a matter of time as to when you see lower numbers, but corrections definitely will be a name of the game. And from time to time, sectors which have run up, probably outperformers will correct and underperformers will rise. So that churn probably, if at all it is beginning, it could be beginning over the next month or so, month, 2 months. I think you could see that underperformance gets rewarded and outperformance probably gets punished, or whatever profits being taken from that particular space. So in that sense, oil and gas and metals, as I said, they are on the buy side risk rewards for me, and pharma FMCG probably could be on the sell side for me.
Sarvendra, just stay on with us about a minute or slightly less than that remaining for closing. If you look at the markets, 100-point plus, looking in very, very strong even towards the close. 8,461, that's where the markets have been now. About 10-15 seconds remaining. You'll just get the closing bell in just about some time. SBI on your screen up 3 rupees. Axis Bank 582, 4 rupees higher. Tata Motors flat, but the bias is on the positive side. Yes Bank up 5%. Actually, Yes Bank, the day's low was 790, but it shot up after the IndusInd Bank results, so it's closing in towards the day's highest point. Hindalco up about 1.9, Tata Steel up close to about 1.2 odd percent, Infosys up 1.2, IndusInd Bank, of course, the results impact up 3.6%, K in India up about 2%, NTPC up 2.6, HDFC Limited up 2.8. That's the closing bell. 100 rupees higher for 100 points higher for Nifty, and about 300 points higher for Sensex. Bank of Baroda flat with a negative bias. Reliance up about 0.4%. Tech Mahindra 476, but again every attempt to go up tends to see some selling pressure coming in. Tata Power up about 2% and BPCL up about 3.5. HCL Tech 3.8% higher, was among the top gainers. 1.2 million shares traded. Not sure if any Q is being taken in from the TCS numbers. BPCL up 3.5, 1.9 million shares, 913 towards the close. We were just talking about that. IndusInd 926.95, a very strong set of numbers, 3.5% higher. Z Entertainment 3.5% higher, numbers on Wednesday. GAIL up about 3%, 372. Asian Paints up 2.9%, 819, 1.2 million shares. HDFC Limited 2.8% higher, 1320 for HDFC Limited. Maruti up 2.6, 4037 for Maruti. NTPC up 2.5, 133.2. As far as NTPC is concerned. Ambuja Cement 2.5% higher at about 248. Volumes not that great. ACC declares this week. ONGC on the losing side, down about 1%, 291. 2.9 rupees lower for ONGC. L&T down about 15 to 16 rupees, 1860 towards close. Bank of Baroda was the next loser, but there was no meaningful great loser from the large cap space. Just look at Bank of Baroda. It's down 20 paisa. It's absolutely flat. One can say 2.3 million shares traded for Bank of Baroda. Mid-cap index was very, very strong. Himmat Singha Saidi up about 15.5%, 111.8 rupees. Not sure if there is any news flow that is there into this name. Balarpur Industries is up, and buzzing in, so it's up about 7 to 7.2%, 15 odd rupees higher. DCB Bank, I think, declares numbers tomorrow. 7% higher, 148. Yeah, it declares numbers tomorrow, so 7% higher ahead of numbers. On Mobile up about 6.5. Aarti Industries up 6. Suven Life Sciences towards the end was up 8%, 254 for Suven Life Sciences. Aarti Industries 6.4% higher. NIIT Tech, NIIT Limited has numbers tomorrow, 8% higher. And National Fertilizer was up 5%. MTNL was also up about 6 to 6.5%. Sarvendra Shrivatava is still with us. Sarvendra, just a closing comment. We've closed around 8,459. Till when we have to take out the 8550, 8561, the previous high level, which will make you confident that markets are going higher?
See, 8550 definitely should be one signal that probably we are wanting to head higher, and we have been anticipating this pullback, say till 85. So from 88,000, 8,100, we maintained that yes, 8,500 is doable, and now that we have done it, the first thing is that since you are at the upper end of an expected trading range from my side, so if at all, I would like to, as I said, book out some profits, and I'm talking purely from the strategy angle. If someone has to do something, once we're at the upper end of a trading range, one thing that you want to do is take profits wherever you have, stay a little bit light, and then reassess. So that reassessment process or that time will probably come once we break past 85.50. So that day, if we break with good volumes and nice price activity, I would be able to put higher numbers as far as the Nifty is concerned. Then probably Nifty could be heading higher. But as of now, I would say that I am happy with, say, a broad range between 8,000 to 85.50 and a small range, trading range between 83.50 to 85.50. So as long as these ranges hold, I would sit, I'll sit tight with that particular view that this is a trading market.
Sarvendra, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Hope you have a great day.